How does work relate to the Christian calling? For the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. For Christians, work is more than filling a material need. Some view work as what is required to live while waiting for eternity, but nothing more. This perspective leaves workers lethargic toward their work. These poor, unmotivated souls, if they do arrive on the job, drag their boots around. Lack of wisdom for work translates into a lack of enthusiasm. Like I say, if they do arrive at work, they may put in the hours required, but they're not as nearly as productive as they might be. They don't care about creativity and invention. They offer no extra thought to increase productivity because they view work as merely a necessary evil. Folks, it's time to go to work. Since the gifts and calling of God are irrevocable, we ought to behave differently. The Lord has called His people to work for Him in His kingdom. We Christians must not be idle people or lazy. God's calling places upon us a moral imperative to productivity in work as we fulfill our individual callings. The humanist thought of this age leads to a sense of pointlessness, of aimless existence. We must resist the spirit of the age and pursue our callings with energy and anticipation for what God will accomplish with our work over our lifetimes. We should have a long-term view informed by the fact that God has determined a long-term plan for us to do His kingdom work. We ought not to yield to self-absorption and indulgent laziness, but rather we ought to accomplish all that God calls us to do. Folks, it's time to go to work. Consider a personal example of a biblical work ethic in my grandfather, John J. Janus. Neither bad weather nor sickness stopped him. He showed up to work, period. A few times he went to work so early that he had to unlock the Ford Motor Company plant in Ohio, sometimes being the only employee to show up during a snowstorm. With only an 8th grade education, John J. Janus climbed the ladder of success through hard work. His career began with sweeping floors and taking out the garbage of the automobile factory after school. He rose to a top management position where he worked with automobile executive Lee Iacocca, spearheading the development of the iconic Mustang automobile. I am honored to wear my grandfather's ring, with admiration and good memories too. The ring honors 30 years from 1930 to 1960 of dedication without the loss of a single day of work. He always got the job done. He showed up to work. The great Apostle Paul wrote, "Therefore I, the prisoner of the Lord, implore you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling with which you have been called." God requires that the Christian walk and work must be in a manner worthy of our calling. The word calling may have more than one application, but it certainly applies to our labor. If we want to experience economic liberty, either personally or as a nation, Christians must work out our calling with an attitude of thankfulness, energy, and a determination to be productive in God's fields and factories, the stores and at the workplace, for His glory. This attitude differentiates the Christian from the humanist of our day and our nation from all pagan nations. Americans, let's get to work.